As she mentioned, for some Mainers, this crash in Baltimore reminds them of when the Julienne crashed into the $1 Million Bridge in 1996.
Yeah, that crash wasn't as dramatic, but did take months to clean up the oil. Here's Rob Caldwell's report on the cleanup efforts.
You could have closed your eyes along the Fore River and still known there'd been an oil spill. The smell of number 2 heating oil and the even thicker fuel that powers the tanker hung heavily in the air. But the threat wasn't to the air, it was to the water. Those two kinds of oil were leaking out of the Julienne right into the harbor, coming out of this 6-foot-long gash in the tanker's hull and probably out of other holes as well. Cleanup crews got to work fast, putting booms in the water to contain the spill. A lot of oil, officials didn't know how much, had already spilled, and the surfaces of the Fore River looked like an abstract painting.
No one wants to see this happen, so it does break our heart. I mean, we're standing right here, we're looking down. People would say, well, this is just seaweed, but this seaweed is part of that whole food web that we're concerned with in the harbor, part of the whole ecology.
A couple of hours after the collision, the tide turned and started to go back out of the harbor. At that point, you could begin to see rather clearly just how much damage had been left behind. This is what some of the rocks look like right here. This is about 100 yards away from where the Julienne is docked, and as you can see, the rocks are just coated with a thick, goopy oil. The first priority is containing the spill, the second, cleaning it up. It's too soon to assess the environmental damage.
I really don't have an estimate of that now. If we can contain the oil, I suspect it'll be short-term and rather minimal.
Baykeeper Joe Payne says officials in Portland Harbor responded to the spill far quicker and more effectively than they would have just 5 years ago. Even so, there was some harm they could not prevent. And fish and birds, unlike bridges and tankers, cannot always be repaired.
That was Rob Caldwell reporting. By the way, the owner of the oil tanker agreed to pay the state $1 million to settle all the claims from the worst oil spill ever in Portland Harbor. The U.S. Coast Guard says the docking pilot gave the crew wrong directions. Meanwhile, the Casco Bay Bridge was already being built when this incident happened and is more than twice as wide as the $1 Million Bridge.